Who is the bad guy in history who isn't actually a bad guy? Peter Lustig, a popular German kids TV presenter whose legacy got torn down by Bild, Germany's biggest tabloid paper, because he refused to collaborate with them. They made up stuff about him of how he hated kids etc., and spread the news so far and wide that the correction they were sued and forced to write a clarification has not reached out to everyone yet. So many people to this day still believe the accusation, even after his death, and it's a shame Bild ruined his last years and never really got punished for it. You know that dingo ate my baby woman? Turns out it did. It absolutely did. https://and.wikipedia.org Wiki death off Azaria Chamberlain, but we only found that out years after she was internationally ridiculed and convicted of murder. The poor woman and her family. Richard Jewell. Not only did he not plant bombs at the Olympics in 1996, he was actually the hero who alerted that there were bombs in the first place. Frederick II. He's also known as the spawn of the devil, so obviously people don't think highly of him, but he was actually a pretty decent leader to his people. It's just either the current pope of that time didn't like him and spread rumors about him which eventually led to him getting that nickname, or just wanted the land he owned. Dracopes://n.wikipedia.org Wiki Draculawgiver, the author of the first Athenian legal code. The word draconian, implying unduly harsh or punitive, derives from the historical reputation of the legal code he wrote, basically having death be the sole option for most criminal infractions. But at the time he was writing, Athenian society really only had death, exile, or shunning as viable punishments. He was exiled from Athens for the backlash to the work he was commissioned to perform by the Athenian Assembly. In the film Titanic, the character Murdoch killed someone, took bribes, and generally came across as a right shit. He was a real-life person who was actually a hero and saved many lives. His living relatives were so disgusted that the VP of Fox traveled to Dalbeattie to personally apologize and presented a $5,000 donation to Dalbeattie High School to boost the school's William Murdoch Memorial Prize. Bruce Ismay, the chairman of the White Star Line and the antagonist in James Cameron's Titanic. He was the gentleman who said that people wanted to marvel at the speed of Titanic and prodded Captain Smith to sail faster. In all actuality, Ismay wouldn't have had much if any input to Smith, and, if so, Smith likely wouldn't have heeded Ismay's advice, as Smith was nearing retirement and would not have taken advice from a businessman. Alternatively, Ismay knew that he was in capable hands and would never impose upon the captain by telling him how to sail his ship. Survivors testified that during the sinking, Ismay was trying everything he could to assist with the filling of the lifeboats. He convinced passengers to get into boats, and at one point had to be told by an officer to stop trying to help as he was getting in the way. Ismay took a vacant seat on one lifeboat just before it was about to be lowered, which was one of many empty spots on that particular lifeboat. Ismay was a scapegoat because he was the highest-ranking survivor of the sinking, and he became a recluse afterwards. As another testament to his character, he created several charities aimed at helping families and survivors of maritime incidents. This is the comment of You Mighty Casey struck out. Great comment. He's not considered a bad guy per se, but Braveheart was very unfair towards Robert the Bruce. He was a bigger hero than Wallace, as I understand it. The lady who sued McDonald's when the hot coffee burned her. Her genitals were basically burned off and the McDonald's coffee melted the cup. Fuck the media for this spin that never died. Alfred Nobel. People assume he invented dynamite so it could be used as a weapon, and blame him for all the millions of war deaths since, and say it's ironic that he created the Nobel Peace Prize. He was from a family of miners, and his father and elder brother both died in gunpowder accidents, so he wanted to create a safe explosive they wouldn't go off if you accidentally dropped it. He was literally trying to save lives. Machiavelli. He's reviled for The Prince for basically pushing what everyone at the time privately practiced for the sake of taking advantage of a specific opportunity that arose in Italy. His discourses are far more fleshed out, far closer a reflection of him, and contextualize much of The Prince, such that I genuinely not recommend reading The Prince without the discourses. Monica Lewinsky. She was an intern pressured by one of the most powerful men in the world. She did not deserve to be made the villain. Ener. The copper ingots were just fine. Nanny just wanted a better deal and asked to speak to the manager. Was totally expecting, remove. Steve Bartman. He did not cause the Cubs to lose. Zangief. He bad guy, but he not bad guy. My stepdad Robert. Sure, he wasn't my real dad, but he did treat my mom and us kids right. Niccolo Machiavelli. People think he's all about being ruthless, but really he was just giving advice on how to survive in tough political times. Marie Antoinette was most likely just an overly sheltered rich woman who was used as a pawn in a political marriage, then ridiculed when asked about topics she had no real knowledge on or power to change. Not saying she was a good person, but we don't know what she would have done if she wasn't sheltered from the suffering of her people, or had married for love instead of familial obligations. Hey OP, just by reading your username, I feel like you're looking for a specific answer.